This is a picture of me in January of 2021. And this is a picture of me I took from my camera roll a couple weeks ago. So how did I transform my face from this to this in the span of a year? LOOKSMAXXIng.
LOOKSMAXXIng? The LOOKSMAXXIng wave has officially taken the world by storm. It has become quite the buzzword.
Put simply, LOOKSMAXXIng is the idea of maxing out your looks in every way possible.
All of you watching can go from an average 4 out of 10 guy to an 8 out of 10 with no surgeries.
I'm making these changes just so I can get girls.
I legitimately feel terrible for young men in the modern age because the internet is constantly contaminating their mind with what it means to be good looking.
If you're not inside that 10 to 12% body fat mark, majority of women are going to find you a lot less desirable.
Maximizing jaw, cheekbone, and maxillary structure.
Well, the actual shape of the eye is extremely important.
If you don't have hunter eyes and a canthal tilt, you will actually never see a booby in your life.
Keep biting. Been doing it for years. No one will ever know that I'm biting my cheeks.
I've been LOOKSMAXXIng all summer. I'm ready to get these checks.
Picture this. You've woken up at the crack of dawn, sun barely creeping in through your bedroom blinds, and you've beaten your alarm because in your totally awesome life, you're undefeated on getting 8 hours of sleep every night. Early to bed, early to rise, no one can match your bed game at night. And even though it's the 75th day in a row that you've done this, you've decided to add something new to your routine. But first, an actual routine. You head to the bathroom, you grab a cleanser, you grab a moisturizer, and you end it all off with a dermatologist recommended sunscreen. As Hockerty once told you, your face is the canvas upon which your style is projected. Then it's time for breakfast. Fruits, vegetables, lean chicken, oatmeal, the breakfast of champions, of course. Your body is a temple. You follow this up by lifting and jogging at the same time to the gym where you run a little more before lifting some more. Gains, bro. You head home, you brush, floss, use teeth whitening strips. I mean, they call it $1 million smile for a reason. And to match that smile, you've got an equally ravishing sense of drip. $3,600 Cesare Attolini on a $790 Dior dress shirt, of course. If any of the drip fails to impress, you've completely failed, bro. Live like new money, dress like old money. You take a look in the mirror, your hair is silky smooth. Facial hair, not too overwhelming, but just manly enough to establish your dominance so that you can now say to yourself, I am the Giga Chad. You follow this up with the single most important part of your morning routine. You stick your tongue to the roof of your mouth and lightly shut your teeth. This is called mewing.
This is a long-term practice that could possibly improve your jawline.
Everything about your routine is perfect because you made it that way. And you're perfect because you wanted to be perfect. You're down to 10% body fat total. This is working because when you're LOOKSMAXXIng the right way, you're increasing your looks to the max. Well done, bro. Well done.
And anything fatter than that, anything over 12% body fat, in my opinion, I would consider you to not be in shape as a man.
What you're doing is a daily routine that has gone viral in recent months called LOOKSMAXXIng. Now, on the surface, LOOKSMAXXIng is simple self-care in the interest of enhancing your looks as a man. As we see it can be this basic, improved diet, skincare routine, exercise, and whatever the mewing is. Now, LOOKSMAXXIng has become somewhat of a mini internet cult unto itself, with view counts on TikTok ranging in the billions, and a number of internet forums full of young boys and men trying to improve their appearance and gain the validation of their peers through an honestly confusing rating system. I'm not joking. But LOOKSMAXXIng also has a somewhat of a dark origin story and can lead its followers down some equally dark paths should they choose to go down them. From steroid abuse to plastic surgery to even the potential development of EDs to even self-mutilation, LOOKSMAXXIng cannot and should not be underestimated as a potential tool not only for self-improvement, but possibly even self-destruction. So you reach down, grab what you need, aim right for the upper cheekbone near your eye, and bam! Hit yourself with a hammer. Breaks bones to make gains, brah. Again, I'm not joking. There is a very dark side to LOOKSMAXXIng, and we're gonna dig all into it. And this is what we know. So, LOOKSMAXXIng, what the hell is it? Who started this? And why do dudes think that pressing your tongue to your mouth while getting jaw implants or taking a hammer to your cheekbones to reshape your eyes is the sole and only key to getting laid by women? You know, the same women they hate and blame all their problems on, those women. And if they're submitting shirtless photos of themselves to forums full of other shirtless protein-packed potato chip professors named Chad to rate them, are they doing all of this for the attention of women or the attention of other men? But you know, I'm getting ahead, and how rude of me not to introduce myself. Oh, hi there. Hello, hello, hi. It's my face again. Swoop! Should we do the theme song? Swoop, 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 swoop. Sorry. I know I haven't done it in a while, and y'all be like, baking me in the comments, so here we are. If you're seeing me for the first time, hi, my name is Swoop, welcome. I'm a filmmaker and I make documentaries and short films on unsolved cases, true crime, and social media influencers who abuse their power and manipulate audiences because, as I always say, it's not drama, it's dangerous. We also dig deeper into the root psychology, and sometimes we take it to Petty University, cause honey, Petty is my warm and comfy blanket in the midnight hour. She covers me, she keeps me safe. We love Miss Petty LaBelle. I don't know what that was. If you want to join our community, all are welcome, and you can grab your exclusive Valid Rib Cage hoodies and shirts and the Valid Social Club apparel collection. It's my favorite collection that we've ever done. That is all linked in the Petty University shop, linked below as always. All right, so real quick, and then we're gonna dive straight into the dark side of LOOKSMAXXIng. I've got a question for you, brah. What about how you smell? But really, if you want to get to a woman's heart, it's all about how you smell, and we love to smell good too, which is why I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Scentbird. They are a game changer in making me smell amazing and everyone else around me. Okay, we have a lot to cover, but real quick, I am so excited for today's sponsor, Scentbird. They have been a huge longtime supporter of this channel. I absolutely love them, and I know you will too. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but can someone tell me why finding a perfume that actually smells amazing and captivates everyone in the room is so hard? Like, I've been to the stores, I spray on the samples, but when I get home, like I hate it or I don't smell it anymore at all, until I discovered Scentbird 3 years ago, and I've been using them ever since. So Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service that is reimagining everything about how people discover and experience fragrances, helping create your own personal collection that you literally live your life in. So Scentbird lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month for just $17, but child, you already know your bestie Swoop got a discount for 55% off for you in the description. They have perfumes, colognes, and lots of unisex options, and Scentbird carries luxury brands like Prada, Gucci, Versace, and niche brands like Skylar, Heretic, and Confessions of a Rebel. And with each fragrance, you get a full 30-day supply, so you can wear them all month long and switch up your scent the next month, or grab a full-size bottle of the one that you love. The thing I love about Scentbird is they come in these super cute, very huge vials. You simply pull the magnet apart to open and remove the vial, or place back inside, snap to close, and then just twist the top to unlock the vial and spray, and twist it back to lock it. So every month you get to pick what you want to receive, so there are no surprises. Like this month I received 3. First, I got Rebecca Minkoff. Oh my gosh, this smells incredible. This is this very modern kind of feminine scent with delicious notes of bergamot, jasmine, and karma floor. I also got Vanilla Nomad by Sana Yardine Paris. Ooh, that is sumptuous. This is this really like seductive vanilla with sensual notes of Moroccan jasmine, sandalwood, and vetiver. Ooh, I love that. Okay, she's going on in the evening, you know what I'm saying? And I also got Oud Gaiac by Sentaire. So if you're ready to find your perfect fragrances or switch it up every month, join me on your self-care fragrance journey and tap the link in the description to check out Scentbird and use code PETTY55 to get 55% off at Scentbird. It's just a little over $7 for your first month, available in the US and Canada. That is such an amazing deal. So tap the link, use code PETTY55, and treat yourself to the luxury and self-care that you deserve. Okay, back to the doc. Okay, here are the general disclaimers. Y'all could take a pause, read it if you like, and let's jump into the bizarre world of LOOKSMAXXIng. So as I said in the intro, LOOKSMAXXIng is basically an advanced self-care routine, but with some extra steps. And in case you're wondering why we're doing a deep dive into this, let's start by introducing you to a few things. The LOOKSMAXXIng TikToks, the full definition, and then the thing that will really iron in why I am doing this, the up history. Because yeah, it's up, okay? So if you haven't experienced LOOKSMAXXIng, check this out.
July of this year, I took this picture of my face. And 90 days later, after discovering LOOKSMAXXIng on the internet, and after much work, I now look like this. And just seeing the amount of improvement that I've made motivated me to make this video. That and the first video got 700,000 views.
This is a picture of me in January of 2021. And this is a picture of me I took from my camera roll a couple weeks ago. So how did I transform my face from this to this in the span of a year? There are 4 exact steps you need to follow.
And I know the changes I've made in this short period of time have been significant because I've had a lot more interactions with girls.
And on it goes with 164,000 videos with billions of views and counting. But that leads me to the bigger picture question. Is this all LOOKSMAXXIng really is, right? Simple self-care? What the hell is a Canthal tilt? What's with all of these ratings on screen? And what's this Auntie Swoop that you said about mewing? I'm sorry, are there cats involved? Like, if you ask a LOOKSMAXXer, they'll define LOOKSMAXXIng as a full lifestyle. The web store Hockerty has a whole LOOKSMAXXIng section that says, quote, "In the age of self-improvement, LOOKSMAXXIng has become more than a buzzword. It's a lifestyle." What is LOOKSMAXXIng, you ask? Well, it's like being a sculptor and the clay all rolled into one. You're working to enhance your natural gifts, taking your looks from good to outstanding, but here's the kicker. Life's not a level playing field. You may feel you have to play catch up to get to where others seemingly started. Think of it as a game where some players have a head start. It's not about beating them, it's about maximizing your own potential. That sounds like a recipe for really healthy individuals. Now, if some of this language sounds really familiar to you, you're in for a treat later, but for now, it's all a really long-winded way of saying, like, you should be a LOOKSMAXXer because there are people that are better and more attractive than you, and this is a way for you to be better than them. You know, it's just giving the super hot pick-me energy. Yes, daddy. We love it. Way to go. I'm so glad this is still a thing in 2024. But it's weird, right? Like, self-care should be focused on self-care, self-improvement, and so on, and like not focused on make me more like somebody else. Like, literally, that just sounds like an abandonment of self, but we're calling it self-care. Okay. It's just like a self, like, shitting on thyself. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just a bitch with a master's degree in self-hate. So, the thing is, the way they package all of this isn't just a marketing technique either. Like, virtually every LOOKSMAXXer feels this way, for better or for worse.
Put simply, LOOKSMAXXIng is the idea of maxing out your looks in every way possible. It's like making a character in a video game and trying to use as many points as you can in upping the looks bar stat. But real life is different, in that some people will start with most of the bar already filled up. These are the genetically gifted, and others will only have a little bit filled up and will need to grind out and farm more points to get to that same level.
Because the thing is that as humans, we link our identity to our appearance, and we always face internal resistance when it comes to changing our identity. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be like, I'm making these changes just so I can get girls. That makes me feel fake. Am I really gonna put in all this work to change who I am, and then I'm still just gonna be ugly? You can't be like, oh yeah, maybe I'll change my hair or this thing or that thing. You need to be like, no, I'm gonna make decisive changes, because otherwise it's not gonna happen.
Knowing what LOOKSMAXXIng is one thing, but truly understanding it is another. Okay, so to try, all of my ladies, or, you know, my makeup-loving individuals who are watching right now, like, you know, when you're trying to fine-tune the perfect foundation base with your primer and blend it into the best cut crease by carving out all of the contours, and there's a specific tapered brush that really... Okay, ladies, hi. Now that we've lost all of the makeup-allergic dudes out there who are tuning out everything that my other self is saying, what just happened to them may happen to you while I'm defining LOOKSMAXXIng, okay? I'm just giving you a heads up. Some of what I'm about to say sounds like complete nonsense, and to some it might actually be some kind of ironic meme, and I don't blame you, okay? It's taken a lot for me to not get petty right now. But as far as I could tell, especially given the existence of the LOOKSMAXX forums with hundreds of thousands of members, a lot of this is taken very seriously with these dudes, okay? Especially by teenage boys. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little heads up, and now I'm just gonna snap all of the dudes out of the trance where they were zoning out because my other self was talking about makeup right now. Okay, so we're gonna do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and tits and ass, am I right, bruh? Yeah, I can't get enough. Woo, booty in my face, that's amazing. Okay, sorry y'all, I couldn't resist. Anyways, now that you've been warned, let's figure this out. So here's the thing about looksmaxxing. Understanding looksmaxxing means understanding an entire new language. Now, some of these things are obvious, others aren't. So just, strap in and let me act as your personal Rosetta Stone before we dive deeper, because there are a lot of definitions here, some of which I unfortunately had to research on incel forums. But unlike other definitions you may learn at Petty University, I promise each of these are at the very least amusing and at best, hilarious. It's a lot. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead right now, since we're in a little lesson moment. Let's just take this to class. Petty University, roll the intro. Welcome, class, to Petty University. Professor Petty at your service. Let's start our first lesson off with the first definition of softmaxxing. Y'all, I swear this sounds like terms that you would expect like 18-year-old boys with too much sticky time on their hands to be throwing around on RedTube. Wait, actually, can you even leave comments on RedTube? I have no idea. Okay, Swoop, back to the point. So, softmaxxing. So this is most of what you will see on TikTok when you look up looksmaxxing. The term looksmaxxing, if you couldn't tell, is a bit of a combination of looks and maxing, a portmanteau, if you will. I know, big words, but it's just meaning to improve your looks to the max. So softmax is to do the bare necessities like brushing, flossing, teeth whitening, grooming, and mewing. Yes, it's kind of weird, and no, I never again want to see an AI-generated love child rendering of Boris Johnson and Brad Pitt. No one needs that horrifying visual. Anyways, mewing, contrary to the fact that I can't stop picturing my 4 foster cats pestering me for food when I hear the word mewing.
I started doing this thing called mewing. There's gonna be so many people in the comment section who are like, mewing doesn't work. It's a scam. No, it's a scam. I hate it. I did not go from this to this for no reason, bro. All it's really doing is just giving your face the proper tongue posture. You take your tongue and you put it at the roof of your mouth.
The idea behind mewing is actually to train your tongue to regularly rest on the roof of your mouth as a form of jaw exercise to change its shape. It's just like you put the tip there, just the tip, and then it's like I don't even know how to demonstrate y'all. The jawline you're looking at is a key component of the looksmaxxing experience. There is really only one look to achieve, and this is it. Sorry guys, if your jawline isn't the shape of a trapezoid on steroids, then you've clearly failed at life. So yeah. But where did mewing even come from? And my God, does it work, bruh? I'm just gonna let you know now, no. Well, probably not. Mewing is actually a variation of something called orthotropics, a fringe pseudoscientific theory that essentially killed the careers of its biggest champions, John and Michael Mew. Yes, there is a dude with the last name Mew attached to this, and I have discovered this because I am a thorough mewing bitch. Just kidding, I don't mew. I'm just a bitch. As the New York Times put it, traditional orthodontic teaching explains crooked teeth mostly through genetics. We inherit the alignment of our bite from our parents, just as we inherit almost any other trait. Mew does not believe this. Instead, he sees crooked teeth as a symptom of a sweeping, unrecognized health crisis. Changes in our lifestyle and environment since the 18th century, Mew contends, are introducing our jaws to grow small and recessed. The teeth do their best to come in straight, but our misinformed faces cause them to twist and turn and compete for space. As a result, we've been robbed not only of tidy smiles, but also, Mew says, of the well-defined faces that were the birthright of our ancient ancestors and which Mew regards as the mark of true beauty. That is so funny that he would call that our birthright, to have a trapezoid jaw. That's just weird, man. I love this follow-up article that explains the biggest issue here. Quote, British and American orthodontic researchers told me that nearly every claim the Mews have put forth is wrong. Kevin O'Brien, a leading academic orthodontist in the UK, described their work to me as mostly discredited. When I mentioned Mew to a prominent American orthodontist, he cut me off. John Mew is an idiot. A total idiot. That is a quote. This is not even my words. But I'm just like, the petty is flowing, bitch. Excuse me, little Chad. Dr. Petty is in the office and we'll see you now. So right off the bat, we see that looksmaxxing is rooted heavily in pseudoscience with no basis in reality, kind of like the Matrix. Mewing could very well work over time, I don't know, but there's no reliable data that supports it. And the people it's named for, the Muse, I'm gonna name my gaggle of cats that, are disgraced pseudoscientists, the Muse, not my cats, whose work isn't published in academia and have had to resort to spreading their ideas online as a result. That's usually what happens, right? Pseudoscientists, doctor people, things who don't have any basis for their and they just go online and they just make a TikTok account and say it is fact, and then there's like a bunch of people who are like, oh, this must be true because it's on TikTok and I didn't research any of it. But yeah, man, that's mewing, the totally legit centerpiece of looksmaxxing. We are off to a great start, bros and hoes and everyone else. So let's move on to mogging. This one actually tickles me. Mogging. Whew, honey, let me try to get through this without laughing. I'm coping mechanism, okay? That's what's going on today. Mogging is defined as the act of standing next to someone you perceive as less attractive in order to appear superior to them. Now you see why I can laugh at this, right? Because that's just not a healthy way, and that's like really arrogant and just kind of Andrew Tate obnoxious. So anyways.
I ain't never seen two pretty best friends. It's always one of them gotta be ugly.
Think about something like this photo of Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Quentin Tarantino. You see it, right? Like you see it, okay? Quentin T is getting mogged hard in this pic. Mogged. Do I say mogged? It just, who cares? The bitch has been mogged to hell and back in the carpool lane with these two standing there. Get that drip, yes, daddy cow. Sorry, Petty University, we're still in class. Now, jokes aside, this mogging is big business. Like, listen to Curtis Connor, who actually tried looksmaxxing for a week and discovered something truly wild.
And that term created a joke like within the looksmaxxing community where people would say they're going to Mogwarts, like Hogwarts, the school, but it's for everyone is just fucking, they're mewing the whole time, I guess. But the crazy thing is, somebody actually turned the fictional, like satirical Mogwarts joke into an actual online course.
What the hell is Mogwarts and why is it $40? After you join, you're invited to this private community. If you need any advice, you can post a thread about it or reach out to teachers like Keishami, Aaron, or myself. If you want their advice directly, they'll answer your DMs. You also get access to a library for textbooks on jaw, eye area, hair, and new editions every month.
What's going on? What are we doing? I swear to God, dudes will turn anything into an online course. This is an epidemic, bro. Enough, okay? We're done. How about no more online courses, okay?
It's things like this that make the very act of looksmaxxing pretty hard to suss out. You know, they probably belong in the sus pool, which you can find on my second channel, Swoop 2, linked below. But is this all some ironic detached internet thing, or is it serious? How much money is being made by these online courses? Are people just throwing their money away for the bit, or do they really need that help? Judging by how long the looksmaxxing forums have been around and how many users they have, I think they very well might be mostly legit, which is wild, like especially when we get to the next term that you need to know. Hunter eyes. Eyes shaped like almonds, eyes that look at you the way a hunter looks at his prey. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't take this serious. Okay, I'm back, I promise I'm back. Hunter eyes are eyes like this, which really just looks like a dude squinting in the sun to me. I don't know what the gag is, but I guess you need your sad ball sack eyes to be squinting almonds like this. According to mewing.coach.givemeyourmoney.com,
his eyes are 3.5 width to 1 height. Absolutely excellent. Secondly, he has hooded eyes, which can be a hunter eye characteristic. You can see this because the upper eyelids here, there's basically no exposure. Secondly, he's a curved upper eyelid, which is an almond characteristic. Facial flaws, in order of importance, face number 2. So first of all, he has wide set eyes. This is a big flaw in his case, of an ES ratio of 0.5 and an eye separation ratio of 125%, meaning that in between his eyes there, it's 125% of one eye width.
Now, you've probably seen a ton of videos like this one. According to the mewing coach, which yes, is a thing apparently, and not just a joke that I wrote a few seconds ago, this too can be accomplished through mewing. Great. To have perfect hunter eyes, you need what looksmaxxers call call a positive canthal tilt. This is when the corners of your eyes point upward, almost like a kitty cat. Okay, mewing cat hunt. Maybe, I'm just like, maybe this mewing is just an excuse for bros to look at cat videos, in which case it's okay. Come to the cat's dark side. It makes you happier. The cat distribution system has plenty to go around. Now, unfortunately, mewing won't always solve this particular hunter eye issue for LOOKSMAXXers, so you have to do something else, like face pulling. Pulling and pushing your cheeks and nose up and down to try to reshape your jawline. Can you imagine? Honestly, I really think that all you're doing is just giving yourself premature wrinkles, but go off.
You guys heard of this one? This is pulling on your eyelids to stretch them out, to try to stretch them enough so that they sag over your eyeballs, creating hooded eyes, you know, kind of this hunter eye look.
Serious question, what do they call it when you have an opposite of hunter eyes? They don't go up, they go down. A negative canthal tilt? Yes, and well, it's also called doe eyes. Yeah, I know, they must have run out of RedTube terminology for this one. Because if LOOKSMAXXing is anything, it's not subtle. You're either a fierce Giga Chad hunter or a soft Pillsbury doughboy.
If I'm talking to a girl I'm interested in and my shit's moving like this, right? It's not gonna convey the same demeanor and emotion as if I talk to her like this, right? That one thing has literally changed the way that girls react to me on one-on-one dialogue. But not only that, making sure that both eyebrows are still ensures that the face is symmetrical while speaking. Symmetry is like the most important component for facial attraction, so ideally you want the eyebrows to be as symmetrical as possible.
The final term one should know about Softmaxxing is gua sha, which, if you know, you know. But if you don't, is the one thing on the side of LOOKSMAXXing that has actually, you know, been shown to be rather good.
A gua sha is a tool used for facial massage, which can help to reduce the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines. It works by manually stimulating your skin in order to help your skin produce more collagen. It helps reduce the appearance of puffiness and inflammation, which is amazing if you have puffy under eyes. It also helps the circulation in your face, which reduces dark circles. Overall, an amazing tool to add to your routine, and also pretty relaxing to use.
Maybe the most random part about LOOKSMAXXing is the fact that using gua sha is even part of the equation. It's good that men have discovered gua sha, but one may hope that this doesn't have a negative impact on gua sha, especially when we start getting into hard maxing, because of course they're gonna, these words are literally spelled with 2 X's, and then they've got soft max and hard max. It's just like, y'all just really thinking a lot with your balls. Before I introduce hard maxing, it's worth noting that many of these things are confirmed to be things recommended in TikToks and on LooksMax forums, but some of them are probably just memes making fun of LooksMaxing, but still, they've popped up time and again in my research, so I need to bring them up, and I'll do my best to point out if they're for real things. Now, the most common hard maxing strategies that are likely happening are steroid use, or they'll call it being on gear, and things like hair transplants and plastic surgery. Another thing I saw pop up time and again in videos and on forums is the concept of edge maxing, which is defined as, quote, "Oh, may the power of Michael B. Jordan be with me as I try to get through this." Oh, here's the quote: "Withholding climaxing in order to boost testosterone to improve appearance." Yeah, improve appearance, not what you thought that was going. Now, I'm not sure about the science here, and since I don't really want to talk about the pros and cons of how a dude handles his southern evacuation, and I like being monetized, just trust me when I say that there's information out there discussing how the evidence is inconclusive on whether this even works, okay? The science ain't sciencing, it's conflicting, Chad. Petty University, class dismissed. Starvemaxxing. As Kyrian Press Reynolds said for Business Insider, it's often difficult to separate genuine suggestions from ironic memes mocking the community. Is starvemaxxing, or intensively restricting your diet, a real trend or a satire of the larger trend? Starvemaxxing, if real, is what some call a glamorized ED that focuses on intensely restrictive diets that see some commenters claim to consume 400 calories or less per day. Please don't ever do this. For full context, the average American should be consuming around 2,000 calories daily to maintain weight, and a healthy weight loss diet should only really fall at most between 400 to 500 calories under what is your healthy maintenance weight, and preferably with the guidance of a healthcare professional to make sure that you are still meeting your nutritional needs. But to put it in perspective, for someone to exist on 400 calories per day, that's less than one slice of Pizza Hut Supreme Pizza. In terms of non-fatty foods, it's about as many calories as 4 apples per day. And it's really hard to tell just how serious everybody talking about Starvemaxxing is. The truth is, I think at least a few of these are serious, like this guy who seriously lists his Starvemaxxing journey details by saying, quote, "Yesterday I did a full meal. This is beginning to be more of a 1 meal a day diet than just Starvemaxxing. Yesterday I used 0.8416 pounds of ground chuck, and boy, when I went to look at the nutritional facts, it had a lot of fat in it, so I cooked the hell out of it and tried to drain as much fat as possible. To make it more of a complete meal, I added 7 Brussels sprouts, a clove of garlic, and 4 white button mushrooms into the pan after I drained out a lot of the fat. I also ate half an avocado and had 4 fish oil pills because of the EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids they contain." Now, I might have the math a bit wrong here, but 0.84 pounds of chuck is around 1,200 calories. Usually, 7 Brussels sprouts is around 38 calories. Garlic clove, 4.5. 4 white button mushrooms, depending on the size, is about 16 to 20 calories. Avocado, 240 calories. 1 meal per day, our guy seems to be maxing out at about 1,520 calories. And also we need to take into comparison that often men require more calories per day than women or people of smaller frames. So like there's a lot of factors here, right? Now this isn't as dangerous as a 400 calorie day by any means, and many experts agree that if treated responsibly, a 1,500 calorie diet can be effective for weight loss if handled correctly, again, preferably with an expert. Please don't do anything extreme and put yourself into jeopardy just for your weight. You are beautiful. I just want to remind you of that. And please seek professional help if you're wanting to lose weight. However, back to this guy, this is all 1 meal. As Healthline puts it, studies suggest that this extreme restriction may lead to increased total and LDL, bad cholesterol, and higher blood pressure levels compared to normal eating patterns or less extreme fasting methods. Other studies have shown that eating 1 meal per day may increase fasting blood sugar levels, delay the body's response to insulin, and increase levels of the appetite stimulating hormone ghrelin compared to eating 3 meals per day. This can lead to extreme hunger. What's more, restricting calories to 1 meal a day may increase the chances of hypoglycemia or low blood sugar, especially in those with type 2 diabetes. In addition to these potential adverse effects, eating 1 meal a day can lead to symptoms including nausea, dizziness, irritability, low energy, and constipation. The Healthline article then says the part that I really wanted to highlight here, quote, "The 1 meal a day diet is also not appropriate for many groups of people, including those who are pregnant or breastfeeding, children and teens, older adults, and people with EDs." If you're taking this kind of restriction seriously, this Starvemaxxing, you are likely a teen, and you may also be in the early stages of developing an ED, and literally teens should not be doing this period across the board.
Ideally, for a male to maximize their facial aesthetics, you want to get down to about 10% body fat. In this process of my LOOKSMAXXIng journey, I've lost about 20 pounds. And this is what my current physique looks like. I'd say this is indicative of about 11% body fat. And anything fatter than that, anything over 12% body fat, in my opinion, I would consider you to not be in shape as a man.
This is not good for you by any means, and I hope for the most part this is just a meme, but I also hope that for those joking about this, that they consider the long-term damage being done by turning this into a joke and misleading people into thinking this is not only real but healthy. Okay, so now that I have one of the darker trends out of the way, this leads me to one of the more peculiar LOOKSMAXXIng terms that pops up quite often. Now, I want to throw a disclaimer out that I have absolutely no idea if what I'm about to say is legitimate, and even if I had a way to fact check it, because like how, I probably wouldn't, okay? This is the one time you can quote Swoop as saying, I don't want to fact check this, okay? But it's a term that pops up often in these videos, and so we should probably just go ahead and define it. Jelking. This is a stretching exercise. It's a stretching exercise for people with external bits that are, you know, hanging out there and swinging around, to stretch those external bits in order to make those external bits not so bitty. You know, like the sound that a rooster makes, like, you know, like the first syllable of like, can I say penis on YouTube? I don't even know. I'm talking about a penis, okay? Can I say that word? Like in a non-graphic way? Anyways, that's what I'm talking about. People stretching their rooster to create straight up micro tears in the tissue to allegedly stretch it out and make it longer. I hate it here. Now, I even found a safe for YouTube video from a doctor about this. We love our medical facts.
That looks painful.
It is.
This is gonna be fun.
I would not recommend that to a patient of mine, Chad.
Justifying everyone's length quests.
And look, what you described can cause a lot of problems. One is just bruising and pain at the area. You can also get micro tearing, which is not a good thing generally. And finally, there's not a ton of research to support jelqing.
This is a shitty thing to do to your itty bitty. Actually, you know what? I do know one person who tried jelqing, and they have a level of confidence I truly admire for admitting it in such a public forum.
And I have a personal story in regards to jelqing because I have tried it. Like I said, I got most of my advice online, and being an insecure young man, I was miserable. I hated my appearance. I hated pretty much everything about myself. So I thought, why not? So I did it, and I hurt myself. And I think I told a story not too long ago where I did like a pseudo jelqing exercise one time and actually had to go to the walk-in clinic because I could no longer piss. Basically what happened is I damaged everything internally in my like just threw everything out of whack. It was all cattywampus, and I was no longer able to pee, and it swelled up like a giant head of cauliflower. And that is something that does happen with jelqing.
Wow, that was delightful. Honestly, y'all, I missed the time before I knew what jelqing was. I'm sorry. Listen, okay, I don't have a swinging, I don't have a d. I don't know what it's like having one. I don't know how y'all walk around with those things, just like hanging out. So take this for whatever it's worth. Don't do this. Like, seriously, stop and reevaluate your life choices and just choose something else, okay? I'm done, okay? Somebody please get me out of here. Now, other than these sillier terms and a few others that I'll get into in a bit, we have to ask, does LOOKSMAXXIng work? The simple answer for a lot of this is yes. Like, having a better diet, cleaning yourself up, and focusing on your health is a tried and true method that will have outstanding effects on your physical and mental health. But as far as trying to completely reshape your body to look like somebody you're not, well,
I've been LOOKSMAXXIng all summer. I'm ready to get these chicks.
They look the exact same.
This alone exposes the first big problem with LOOKSMAXXIng, other than the reliance on strange pseudoscience like mewing and complete nonsense like jelqing. It's set up to make you fail, almost by design, by implying that you can completely change everything about yourself that makes you unhappy by following a highly specific set of instructions, and of course, making it rain on those highly specific things like Mogwarts courses or hawkery clothing or self-help books or whatever the hell bullshit day someone's trying to push. LOOKSMAXXIng in and of itself isn't a grift, since a grift would imply one person or people pushing it on you, but it has the capacity to be weaponized by grifters to push on you. So that's the first big problem. The second big problem was brought up by Curtis Connor.
I found a really weird TikTok account where they give like extremely detailed reviews on how attractive certain men are.
How attractive is Cillian Murphy? Cillian has equal facial thirds, blue eyes with a positive canthal tilt, low set, thick and slightly positively tilted eyebrows. His jawline visibility is excellent and he has a wide lower third. He's got high set cheekbones and a good mid-face ratio. He has full lips, his hair texture is good, and his skin has a great complexion.
Okay, like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you saying? Also, I'll have you know, at the end of this video, they don't even say no homo. So what the fuck? Like, these people are so obsessed with all having the exact same type of face. Is jaw shaped, same eyes, same lips, same fucking... That's boring, dude. Wake up, sheeple.
This is the interesting thing about LOOKSMAXXIng in general to me. It's a vision of conformity. of men having to look one specific way with slight deviations here and there, which does nothing but remind me of the Kardashian aesthetic, which has run so rampant that when I open social media, the trending face and body of a lot of women all looks exactly the same to me. This is literally no shade to anybody, but this is just like an observation. I just kind of feel like a lot of people all found the same plastic surgeon and they're just like, I'll have what she's having. Okay, thanks. That looks great. Let's do it tomorrow. Okay. Can't wait. I don't know, maybe it's human nature. It might entirely be that, where it just seems like oftentimes no one really wants to have looks that are outside of this very tiny bubble. And then oftentimes, even when people think that they're like in a counterculture, that counterculture has millions of people who are like that as well. But it's all about this one look, one perfect eye line, one perfect jawline. Hair is conditional, clothes are conditional, but basically every man has to look like this or they're and not in the way they're trying to get by doing this. Now, I've used the term Giga Chad throughout this video, and that's a term Alpesh Al defines as an individual who is regarded as being particularly macho, physically alluring, and socially powerful. Typically, this word is used to refer to guys who are at the pinnacle of masculine attractiveness and social standing and who are in high demand by women. I'm sorry. The way these red pill bros keep tripping over themselves to get a date. Like, bruh. Like, I promise you ain't gotta do all of that. It's real simple, my guy. If you wanna get a date, don't be a dick. Thank you. I know. You're all just, yes, I know, groundbreaking. Just give me a plaque or make a statue in my own. Thank you. Yes, you're welcome. As you've seen in videos, and as you'll see when we get to the forums, a lot of this relies on holding yourself up to be shown off and rated by your peers on what a good job you've done looksmaxing. What a good boy. Now, there's a term for this. It's been around since the dawn of time, with the most popular use being to shame women, but I'm pretty sure it applies here, even though I feel like most looksmaxing boys aren't gonna like it, but it's real simple. You are a pick-me boy. Usually the term is pick-me girl, and refers to a woman who longs for attention and approval from a specific group. It's a term used derogatorily against girls trying to be, one of the boys, and also about self-loathing women who spend their time on other women. A good example of this would be the queen of the pick-me's, Hannah Pearl Davis. Yeah, who is a female member of the manosphere and a future subject of an upcoming Swoop doc. Yes, Hannah, that one was put together a while ago and just haven't released it yet. Y'all are gonna love it. She's like the female Andrew Tate, except way more obnoxious, which is a feat unto itself because Andrew Tate is unbearable. So with the rise of looksmaxxing, we find the interesting rise of the pick-me boy, a heterosexual man who, like the stereotypical pick-me girl, also craves the attention of heterosexual men for validation, not women. I'm not even joking.
I literally have pick-me boys in some of the classes I teach where they're like, can I get your Snapchat? I'm probably too ugly. Oh, oh no, I'm ugly. And it's not the ones that feel bad about themselves. It's like the ones that want a compliment. What is this? Nobody does this. Have some confidence. I can't.
Hey. Huh? You want me to put my whole face in the camera? I gotta warn you, I'm looking pretty rough right now. Alright, brace yourself for ugliness.
This is quite an interesting turn of events, since at its core, looksmaxxing seems to be about men improving themselves for the validation of women, but with this rating system and with the hyperfixation on the male form, often in ways that straight women don't give one single shit about, the truth is, these are straight men posing for other straight men to be rated by those other straight men. And it's just like, y'all, I don't know. Maybe I should be grateful that these dudes finally took a break from rating every square inch of women's bodies and for some reason thought it would be healthy to do it to themselves. We are in a weird Twilight Zone world, and honestly, I don't think any of this is good for anybody. And I don't wish this on anyone. I don't wish it upon men, women, theys, gays, non-binaries, trans. I don't wish anyone to go through feeling like they have to post photos of themselves and get degraded in order to feel like they belong in society and like they are attractive or desirable or worthy. It's really, the whole thing is really sad to me for everybody across the board. But let me ask the question, what does it all mean? If I had my detective hat on, I would say that this sounds like the foundation for good old internet trolling, if we want to look at it from that angle. But before I put my detective hat on, I want to cover one of the more controversial terms associated with looksmaxxing, since it segues pretty well into the next section. Bone smashing, which is where you smash the bones in your face, usually with a hammer, in the hopes that you'll heal and look more masculine. What the is happening? Not even Pete Davidson can save you from this beer-battered bullshit. I don't know why I said that. Allegedly, this is something that was once adopted by at least a few early looksmaxxers, and you'll see widespread media coverage about it everywhere, from Daily Mail to Vice, warning about the perils of bone smashing as if it's not obvious, but I guess to some people it's not. One documentary produced for Channel 4 actually saw journalist Ben Zan meet a few folks that allegedly did this.
They have these kind of, and because they are all quite low and they're looking for fast answers and their lives aren't going well and they already feel pain because their life's not going well, they are prepared to do just things that, is not advisable by science and isn't really going to achieve many results. So we saw a bunch of people who were literally hammering themselves in the face to redefine their jaws. It was kind of frustrating because you're standing there and you're like, why are you focusing so much time on that? Such random specific things that aren't really going to do anything, when it's like, get outside, meet people, hang out with some people.
Now, when we speak about the recent trend of looksmaxxing on TikTok, there's actually no evidence that modern looksmaxxers are adopting bone smashing techniques. And when it gets brought up in more niche forums, it's usually discouraged or treated as a joke. Some sources say it's fake because of this lack of modern evidence, but the truth is, just because the evidence isn't modern doesn't mean these terms aren't accurate things that have happened. At the very least, looksmaxxing and all of these terms, even if they seem new, have existed on the internet for about a decade. Yeah, but all of that aside, I think it's time that we shift to my favorite part of this bizarre universe. Yes, friends, just like every other sad ball sack of a toxic story, it seems that looksmaxxing originated with incels. Now, for those who are unfamiliar, not to worry, I've got you covered. Incel, like looksmaxxing, is a portmanteau, a combining of the words involuntary and celibate, incel. And since then, the creation of that word has evolved in wildly different directions over the years. But the simplest way to explain an incel is they're a person, usually a man, frustrated by a lack of sexual experience. And when I say incels have evolved from that initial meaning, I mean it, and they would probably be pissed if they knew the real origins. The Anti-Defamation League, or the ADL, have monitored incels as a form of extremists and/or referring to incels as heterosexual men who blame women and society for their lack of romantic success. And the thing is, like I said, they might be pissed if they really knew the origins of this, because so many incels just seem to really hate women or have a great disdain. What's even more wild is that the term incel was actually essentially started by a woman in the 90s named Alana, who created the website Alana's Involuntary Celibacy Project, where others would use the term incel to describe feeling socially awkward. It was supposed to be pretty just innocent. We're just chatting about feeling awkward. And it's just imagine that. Another thing created by a woman, taken over by a subset of angry bros who blame women for all their problems and then goes on to be a threat to society. Shocking. Now, because of this wide valley between a boy who can't get laid and commits actual crimes and horrible things, incel has also evolved into an insult to describe anybody with misogynistic beliefs. Now listen, the reality is not all incels are out there causing all kinds of harm, and we don't want to just throw broad generalizations at them. They're not all misogynist, but enough of them are that the word incel has come to mean somebody very, very dangerous. In 2022, the journal Current Psychiatry Reports outlined incel ideology simply. They believe in, quote, an appearance-based hierarchy in which how one looks is considered the most essential key to both sexual relationships and one's place in society. They have a belief in female hypergamy, the notion that women are too sexually selective and use their privilege an SUality for social advancement above all else, and they have a dislike of feminism because it promoted and encouraged women to have a deserved right to SUal agency. So there has been much discussion in incel forums dedicated to the reversal of gender equity. Many of the proposed solutions involve some form of coercion, R-word, or a complete return to enforced monogamy under strict patriarchal rule. Yes, how dare we, the women out here, just be selective about who we give our bodies to? Ha, the audacity. Ha. Now, let me make what I'm saying here clear. The term was created on incel forums. It was popular in incel forums. It spread throughout those parts of the internet for nearly a decade before it mysteriously broke out on TikTok. LOOKSMAXXIng unequivocally is a term made by incels for incels, and this, friends, is why LOOKSMAXXIng is raising a lot of eyebrows these days. Incel culture is intrinsically tied to internet culture, but what's another big part of internet culture that relates to angry men? That's right. Don't forget to take your vitamins. It's the red pill bros.
You have this huge red pill community online, and you must be familiar with the red pill community.
I'm vaguely familiar with them.
Their whole thinking is that feminism is oppressing men.
No, their whole thinking is that radical social justice warriors are polarizing society. So you can't accuse the red pill society of holding viewpoints that are even vaguely commensurate with people who commit crimes of that magnitude. There's nothing fair about that at all. It has nothing to do with antipathy towards women.
Now, as CNN puts it, and this is a longer but very illuminating quote, one of the most important symbols of the incel community is the idea of a red pill or a blue pill. This metaphor is taken from the 1999 movie The Matrix, in which Keanu Reeves' character Neo must choose between taking a blue pill, which will keep him in a state of peaceful ignorance, or the red pill, which will awaken him to an uncomfortable but enlightening reality. For incels, the reality presented to them by the red pill is that love and SUal satisfaction are commodities, that women deny them, and that women, not men, control the SUal aspects of society. Someone tell that to men, because why are they the ones who are doing the SA more than anyone? Sorry, let me get back to the quote. Under this assumption, S and relationships become almost like a game with specific challenges to overcome. When people are described as red-pilled, it means they have accepted this reality. The metaphor of red pills and blue pills is also used among other groups associated with the alt-right, including QAnon believers and other conspiracy theorists. Great group to hang out with. Now, another thing that you might not be surprised to find out about incels is that they are intrinsically tied to the part of the internet known as the manosphere, the place where men are taught to be real men. Men's rights activists, or MRAs, alpha male influencers, even pickup artists, though I did recently discover incels and PUAs, pickup artists, have a long-standing beef that is very, very amusing and incredibly tragically off topic, so I can't get into it, but man, is it a good time over there. The truth is, all of these things boil down to similar misogynistic viewpoints that present women as both the enemy and something that should be a submissive little prize. It's always amazing to me, men like this, and never when I talk about these topics do I apply this type of stuff to all men, because all of the men that I know are absolutely incredible human beings. I know so many amazing men. I love them. I love men. Okay, they're great. And then there's some that really suck, just like, anything. But it's just always amusing to me that men are like, women are the enemy. Women have all of the privilege, which I can't even say with a straight face. And women are denying us their bodies or whatever. And then they go out of their way and do all of these things to get us. It's like, you hate us, but you want us. You hate us, but you're doing all of these things to yourself and your body and your health and your happiness to get us. And really, again, it doesn't take all of that. Again, say it with me. If you want to get a date, don't be a dick. All of this targets the same demographic. Young men who are searching for a deeper sense of self and searching for meaning in a world that they feel increasingly not part of. That is something that we should be addressing. That CNN article from earlier does a pretty good job of outlining the many ways incels and red pill ideology are tied together, but another thing it does is define incel slang. And it has to do with one more common belief, maybe the most important to understanding LOOKSMAXXIng, the black pill phenomenon. Seriously, man, these dudes just be the red pill, the blue pill, the black pill. Okay, like take your vitamins, let's move on. I'll let newamerica.org define this. So quote, beginning around 2016, misogynist incel forums began to shift from a red pill to an increasing black pill mentality. This belief system affects the red pill view of society dominated by women, but rejects individual level attempts such as learning game to achieve a sexual relationship with women as misguided, asserting that only change at a societal level has the possibility to be effective. Black pill adherents believe that looks are genetically determined and that women choose sexual partners based solely on physical features. Wow, y'all are just so wrong about so many things. I'm just like, what if you just talk to us and ask what we like and what we want? Just cut to the chase, man. Go to the source. Back to it. So whether or not a person will be an incel is predetermined. Misogynist incels attempt to prove the truth of the black pill through misreadings of scientific studies, online dating data sets, and their own experiments to prove that women only care about a man's physical looks. The article goes on to explain that truly black-pilled individuals wouldn't believe in looksmaxxing and reject it as a solution. However, comma, it's a big comma. It's important to note that looksmaxxers, especially on their forums, lean very heavily into rhetoric that cusps on black pill ideology. You see this in the newsamerica.org article, which continues by saying, quote, the black pill philosophy typically offers only two options for what to do with their new accepted reality: accept their fate as an incel or try to change society to their benefit. For those who choose to accept their black pilled fate, unaliving is often presented as the most inevitable solution. It is also encouraged in misogynist incel communities as a form of sacrificial harm and or martyrdom. Incels talk about potential harm, giving up hope, or unaliving by using phrases such as rope, LDAR, which is lay down and rot, or suiful. Suiful, it's over, brutal, and it never began are popular responses to tags for posts that members feel exemplify the truth of the black pill. But it gets worse. Like when you connect incels and looksmaxxing psychology, suddenly it all starts to make sense. For instance, another very common incel belief is in phrenology, a pseudoscientific idea that the size and shape of someone's skull determines not only a person's mental abilities, but their character. This is actually something that, fun fact, was used by the abhorrent Nazis, a group whose name I am only going to say that one time, and they used this to identify Jewish people. As the Daily Dot puts it, quote, the incels who created looksmaxxing use some of the same metrics as the N regime. They reportedly gathered the anatomical and facial skeletal structure data on multiple men who were seen as exceptionally handsome. The men were mostly white supermodels. As a result, the goals of looksmaxxing skew heavily in favor of Caucasian features. Shocking, once again. Now, there's another thing that the N-holes believed in that is widely discredited today. Something looksmaxxing has a lot in common with: eugenics. Yes, friends, we've now entered the eugenics pit of hell in today's doc.
But Mrs. Slee, in this country, having babies is the only thing left which is both unrationed and untaxed. Do you think we really ought to stop?
Well, I suppose a subject like that is really so personal that it's entirely up to the parents to decide. But from my view, I believe that there should be no more babies.
The term eugenics is basically a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Historically, by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior and promoting those judged to be superior.
I swear, y'all, I'm just like, the more I go over this stuff, I just keep thinking this is a bunch of really sad, hurt boys and men, and they just need help, and like they just need to know that it's okay to talk about how they're feeling instead of resorting to mindsets and groupthink like this in the incel community and how that gets like just out of control in so many instances. I just hope that we continue to carve out safe spaces for all types of individuals, for women and girls, for non-binary, for trans, for men, boys, to be able to just express what they're feeling feeling and they're hurt in a safe way. People take it seriously, and then we can really address the root of all of this, which is really just feelings of insecurity, inadequacy, self-hate. All of those things are the root, I think, of like every ill and evil in society, and we really should just place more emphasis on mental health treatment. But anyways, let me get back to it. So here's a quote from Oxford. The study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable. Developed largely by Sir Francis Galton as a method of improving the human race, eugenics was increasingly discredited as unscientific and racially biased during the 20th century, especially after the adoption of its doctrines by the nasties in order to justify their treatment of Jews, disabled people, and other minority groups. Now, I'm not saying that looksmaxxing, as you've seen it on your TikTok For You page, is the modern day eugenics, and looksmaxxers aren't all, you know, nasties N-hole affiliated. Most of the kids participating in looksmaxxing on TikTok are honestly probably just trying to fit into an ever-changing society that seems completely allergic to the idea that human beings should just be able to exist how we were born without needing to change their aesthetics every 3 to 5 business days and twice on Christmas. Most boys think it's some kind of fun TikTok trend, and that's probably much healthier that they just think it's a fun thing. But even then, why do we have to change the aesthetic all of the time? In fact, like when you look at the more popular looksmaxxers on TikTok right now, like Dylan Latham, that's all it really is.
Your teeth have a yellow tint. Let me save your life. So my teeth used to be yellow as well, but now here's my credentials. It looks like I'm walking around with the white teeth filter on, and it's really easy. So here's exactly what I did. First things first, I've tried whitening strips. They work, but they're overpriced. The absolute best products are whitening gels. This one specifically is the one I used. It's called Night White. Basically, you need a teeth mold like this, and you put the gel in there. In 14 days, your teeth are the most white they will ever be in your life.
But there are simply too many similarities between these ideologies to ignore. One perfect appearance, a white man with a chiseled jaw, perfectly groomed, a reliance on phrenology, and a belief that genetics are tied to a kind of dominance being predetermined. And in reality, with the sheer amount of racism being discussed in some of these forums, because yeah, of course, I believe that these fun TikToks are gateways to something a lot darker than people realize. And this stuff, even if it's just fun, can really fester and f up the mind if you are focused so much on this all of the time. Take it from someone who knows. I know what it's like to look at my appearance all of the time and scrutinize everything about myself. I'm on camera all of the time. Of course, I scrutinize everything. And when you keep doing that over and over and over and over and over and over, it f***s up with a lot of things up here. It's not good. All it really takes is clicking on the wrong hashtag, Googling the wrong term, or seeing the wrong influencer to end up on the truly wrong side of the hashtag. I'm looking at you, Andrew Tater Tot.
We are living inside of the Matrix, and I am Morpheus.
And on this much darker side are places like the original looksmaxxing forums. Now, there are 2 of these forums I want to discuss today. The first one is looksmaxxing.com, a relatively newer paid membership forum run by 3 men named Dean Robertson, Nihilus, and Tim. Just Tim. Yeah, Tim. The forum's mission statement is, quote, "At looksmaxxing, we understand the way you look plays an important role in all aspects of life, whether it be securing a dream job, making a strong first impression, or boosting self-confidence. The way you present yourself to the world matters immensely. Our mission is to empower men all across the globe with the knowledge and tools to enhance their personal appearance." Of the 2 forums that I'm looking at today, this is the more benign forum. But what I did find alarming were the number of posts from literal kids looking to looksmaxx. Hey, I'm 14, 5'6", Latino, and been recently going on a bulk. Last time I weighed myself was 2 weeks ago, and I came around at 135 pounds. Should I even gym max while my goal is being attractive at 15? I'm 13. Are there any tips to use to glow up? 14 male, please rate me and share some tips to improve my looks. It's so weird to me to see boys and men intentionally going out of their way to be rated and scrutinized for their looks the way that many have been doing to women without our consent since the dawn of time. So like, I'm not gonna show the photo of this kid, but the comments are quite interesting. 5.8 out of 10. Your body looks good. Focus on improving the shoulder to waist ratio. Regarding your face, you have some masculine features and you can improve your jaw and chin more and do something with acne. says one commenter. Another says, you look upset in that photo. A bad attitude won't go a long way, especially in high school. Besides, that 6.5 out of 10 decent physique for your age, work on acne. Wait, hold on, okay. When a dude says, like, you look upset in that photo, is that like the bro-maxing way of saying you should smile more? Like they do to women so often. Okay, interesting.
Interesting. European style.
Now, I said earlier that I would explain these ratings. These are called PSL ratings, or proportion size lineating ratings, and this is where the phrenology I mentioned earlier comes in. As the LooksMaxx forum states, quote, PSL ratings were created as a way of being able to determine one's aesthetic value and applying beauty standards to a rating system based solely on their face. There are a few ratings to understand when we go through these posts. PSL 4 is saying a face has 50% perfection. Anything lower is considered substandard. PSL 8, according to the forum, is equivalent to 99.9968%, but 8 PSL is human perfection, which is impossible to achieve. In actuality, 7+ PSL ratings are even rarer than described as, in the above percentiles as well. The majority of people fall anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 on the PSL scale. Now, there's also an alternative ranking system where the boys are ranked as an LTN or low tier normie, MTN or mid tier normie, an HTN or high tier normie, and then it goes on, a Chad light, a Chad, or a Giga Chad, which as far as LooksMaxx forums go, this place is a bit strange, especially given that many of the participants are children, but not all of them. So now, not only do we have dudes rating dudes, but grown-ass man dudes rating underage kids. Charming. Like seriously, considering the rating section is filled top to bottom with shirtless boys showing themselves off as well as shirtless adults, I'm not gonna call a thing, but a thing is a thing, and this thing is concerning for a number of reasons, though that's another doc for another time. And I just think about like some of the stories we cover. If we were to take one influencer and it were to be found out that they were like busy rating the bodies of underaged minors, how well do you think that'll go? Still, it's nothing compared to what happens on looksmaxx.org forum. Take, for instance, this post where a kid asked people to rate him. Comments call him a low-tier normie in need of rhinoplasty surgery because, yes, friends, toxic online drivel that once predominantly pushed young girls to get the girls, done up and ass implants is now pushing plastic surgery onto young boys for no reason other than to remind them that they too are not exempt from feeling worthless in their own bodies and being called out for their low tier looks. Another calls him a subhuman and then uses a racial slur against him, so delightful. Another does the same, and one other forum here is dedicated entirely to surgeries, with some users alleging they actually went through with surgery specifically for LooksMaxxing. What have we done to humankind? Like this one titled Takeaways from My Jaw Surgery. This man got a IMAX surgery to extend his jaw and is still unhappy with the results completely. So I'm gonna read this mostly in full. Quote, I am still very happy with the outcome and do not regret doing the surgery. However, there are a few minor things I would do differently now if I had the chance. My face kept changing even 6 months after the surgery. The final result will only be visible with metal plates removed. Sensation has returned everywhere but the lower lip and chin area, which still feels a bit tingly. I also feel compression from the metal plates there, which is probably a stress factor for the soft tissue there. One issue that I rightfully got some critique for is the area between my nose and lips. My chin looks good right now, and many of the compliments I got were about the chin. However, I am not 100% happy with it. I made the mistake of not really looking at genioplasties before the surgery. I wanted to read most of that to show you that the LooksMaxxing community is very, very serious about this stuff, to the point of getting permanent facial reconstruction surgery just to make these things happen for themselves. Heading back into the more mainstream side of LOOKSMAXXIng, Kiri and Press Reynolds for Business Insider actually put virtually all of the key tenets of Softmaxxing to the test for an entire week to see if they work, and found, quote, by the end of the week I felt like LOOKSMAXXIng and its subcultures were a scam designed to reel in young, insecure people, and I can say with more authority than ever that this trend harms its members and operates in a veil of total delusion. Once again, sounds like a new bio written for Andrew Tate. For this article, they spent 1 to 2 hours a day mewing, eating healthier, practicing better hair care,
and learn to shampoo properly. Most guys have no idea how to do this.
Running 3 to 5 miles every day and sleeping 8 hours a night. They also tried face pulling on day 1 before abandoning it, and what they found was that mewing for long periods felt uncomfortable for the first 4 days, but eventually started to feel more comfortable, which made Kieran think it was working, even though they knew it wasn't, later realizing that it was just the lighting shifting in their bathroom. Quote, by the end of the week, I felt I was falling deeper into delusion. While LOOKSMAXXIng can arguably be positive, helping people feel better about themselves and live healthier, there's an obvious dark and unhealthy aspect to the subculture. The deeper I descended, the more cruelties and insecurities I began to notice. I tried spending time on a LOOKSMAXXer forum to see if I could glean advice from the pros, but all I found was a community of terminally online men obsessed with asking people to rate their faces. The ratings section of the forum was the most depressing thing I observed. Some posters who identified themselves as teens wrote that they felt like their lives would be over unless they got a list of cosmetic surgeries. Other anonymous users responded with vitriol and insults, saying these people needed skull transplants. While this sort of abusive community exists everywhere online, it seems particularly toxic and supercharged among young men.
If the canine teeth align with the edge of the nose between the medial canthus and the pupil, that means that your facial harmony while smiling is gonna be absolutely insane. That's the way to have it.
When you find home in a spectrum without hope, you've fallen down the rabbit hole of the black pill, something often referenced half jokingly within those very forums. Yeah. Self-identifying, right? Kieran continues saying, quote, LOOKSMAXXers likely flock to these forums because they're unhappy and alone, and LOOKSMAXXing is a community they can belong to, however unhealthy their standards are. I found myself feeling sympathetic to the young men who feel like they need to perform these ridiculous rituals to love themselves.
So first of all, he has an enormous nose. Armenians notoriously have massive noses, but this guy's nose consumes his face, and as a result, this is within the cartoon zone.
But you know, this is just an article, right? So let's look at a more familiar face who's also, again, tried giga chatting.
Was just like staring at myself for long periods of time, combing through every detail, looking for improvements, searching for a sign of a sharper jawline, and not being able to see any. All I saw was just me. I looked at myself in the mirror, and the face that looks back at me today is not the same face I saw when I looked in the mirror 20, 10, 5, or even 1 year ago. I've never had a say in how my face was going to change over the years, and I love that. We should all love that. And if I'm being honest, the more I did these exercise and methods this week, the more I thought to myself, God, I hope this doesn't actually change my face. Because then my face wouldn't be mine, right? It wouldn't be my fucking face. I think the overall message I'm trying to convey, which is very base level, but I know it's hard, but I think you should at least try to love the things that make you unique. You got a big nose, that's badass. You can smell more stuff. You know, if you've got orange hair, then that's fine.
There's something going on here a bit deeper than, you know, simply like LOL, incels, dumb. And I believe it has to do with something the conversation calls an obsessive social disease, alienating us from ourselves and others. Society has always had a very toxic relationship with beauty standards, though generally more for women than men. And what I'm proposing is that with the rise of social media, accessibility for children and teenagers, that toxicity is getting worse for women, worse for trans and non-binary individuals, and for maybe the first big time ever, worse for men too.
This guy.
A 2021 journal titled Social Media Use and Body Image Disorders, Association Between Frequency of Comparing One's Own Physical Appearance to that of People Being Followed on Social Media, and Body Dissatisfaction and Drive for Thinness, that is that's a title, makes the point that this wider use is actually increasing body dissatisfaction in teens and young adults and could, quote, render them more vulnerable to EDs. And I think to unaliving. And to support that, the American Psychological Association, or the APA, did a study that found, quote, teens and young adults who reduced their social media use by 50% for just a few weeks saw significant improvements in how they felt about both their weight and their overall appearance compared with peers who maintain consistent levels of social media use. All of this evidence goes to iron in the point that young people, and I mean, honestly, everyone, are being bombarded with something that is making them increasingly less happy with their bodies and their faces than they would be otherwise. This is how something like LOOKSMAXXING can fill a vacuum for young men. You know, just the same as, back in the day, like old magazines or like beauty tutorials were, in the past for women. We're now approaching a point where men feel as if they are being held to a stricter standard than women are. I mean, that's not true, by the way, just still look at the wage gap, but the men on those forums seem to believe it, and believing oftentimes for that individual makes it true to them. And ironically, at the end of the day, all of those standards are standards enforced by straight men on how things should be. So once again, it's men, they be imposing these beauty standards and like holding women and expecting women to just be one specific thing in a box, and they gotta be in the kitchen and all this. And now they're doing the same thing to themselves. In LOOKSMAXXING, skincare and hair care seem to be a brand new phenomenon for many men, but for women, skincare goes far beyond the 3 little gels recommended in most of these videos. We've got the creams, we've got the face masks, anti-aging gels, chemical peels, derma rollers, fillers, fluffers, scrubbers, peptides, retinols, whatever the this is, and lymphatic drainage. And that's not to mention the wide world of makeup, plastic surgery, and the different ways skincare works when that factor is thrown in. And that's not to mention the difference in skincare and hair care for, black and brown women versus white women. So I guess all of this boils down to a simple question, regardless of gender, and one that LOOKSMAXXING seems built around entirely. Do better looks actually provide more benefits in life? I want to jump now into the perspective segment. This is the part in a Swoop doc where I like to take a step back and try to see the story from the perspective of the person or the group that we're talking about, and try to look at it through their eyes so that we're not just living, like in an echo chamber, like cracking down on something that we think is problematic. In this case, we're looking through the hunter-shaped eyes of a LOOKSMAXXer, a believer. What might they say in regards to why this is a trend that they believe should be followed, that it's good, that this is a thing that should happen? How would they defend even the toxic elements of LOOKSMAXXIng? It's kind of a sort of like devil's advocate segment that I try to do to broaden everyone's perspective here. I think that just, it's good and healthy for us to do this. So one of the central principles of a LOOKSMAXXer is the idea that men benefit more if they're attractive. The better looking you are, the better your life is. They believe that society treats them better. They get laid more, often with hotter women. They get better jobs, drive better cars, have better looking kids, so on, so on, so on. So my question, is there truth to that? Back in 1994, researchers Hammermesh and Biddle discovered that physically attractive workers can earn about 10 to 15% more than workers of below average beauty. This was backed up by a Harvard economist named Marcus Mobius and economist Tanya Rosenblatt, who published a paper titled Why Beauty Matters in 2005. Across 3 different sets of workers, they discovered that attractive folks make 12 to 14% more money than unattractive people. That is a lot. These are often cited statistics for incels and even the average person when considering, the idea that beautiful people have an advantage in life. Now, anecdotally speaking, I can't really argue with it, right? There's a lot of research supporting this idea, even on a smaller scale, like when Vice examined the idea of pretty privilege, citing a number of studies that found there is in fact a connection that the brain makes between good looks and goodwill. Quote, Quote, from 2009, 284 subjects rated photographs of people according to how likable, attractive, and trustworthy they perceived the people in the photographs to be. Results showed that attractive individuals were deemed more trustworthy than unattractive individuals. I mean, if you think about it on a more extreme example, y'all remember Ted Bundy? Okay, mass serial asshole. In his criming days, he was conventionally very attractive. It's often been studied that Ted Bundy's looks greatly helped him crime all the time because women were more likely to inherently trust him, think that he was a good person based off of his looks. And like, even when he went to prison and his horrific deeds were exposed, some women still wrote him love letters hoping to connect with him, a man that very likely would have ended them if he had the chance, all because of his looks. But back to Vice. Where the article gets interesting is when it examines why this happens, citing biology and psychology. Quote, according to California-based clinical and forensic neuropsychologist Judy Hope, pretty privilege may serve some evolutionary purpose. The more symmetric the face is, the more attractive conventionally the person is going to be, and symmetry generally has a correlation to biological strength. In other words, something about a symmetrical face, which happens to fit into what society thinks is a good-looking face, may indicate strong and healthy genes. So it makes sense for evolution to push people to want more of these genes, if only for the survival of the species. My gosh, can you imagine if the survival of the human species really was hinged upon how square a dude's jawline was? But here's something to add to this perspective. This could also be explained by another psychological term known as the halo effect, which is when people associate a person's good trait as being reflective of their entire personality or aura. So getting back to looks, this is of course seen when attractive people are trusted simply by being attractive. I mean, it even spills into scripted shows like You, right? Remember the show You on Netflix? Here's a show about a literal serial killer named Joe, played by Penn Badgley, who hunts and stalks innocent women and traps them in glass boxes for his amusement until he ends their life. But because Penn Badgley is hot, people on the internet are like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a stalker like Joe. Ah, yes, daddy, stalk me. Ah, you know, you've seen it, right? I mean, it went on so long that even Penn Badgley himself, the real guy, addressed it on Twitter with some pretty funny replies. You know, someone tweeted, said this already, but Penn Badgley is breaking my heart once again as Joe. What is it about him? To which he replied, answer, he is a murderer. And this one where someone said, I'm telling you, it's your face that does it. You're gorgeous. I can see past that crazy LOL. To which Penn replied, but you're supposed to see past my face to the crazy shit. It's the other way, the other way.
Grab a bucket and a mop. That's a lot.
Oh.
So with this data and how the public seems to move, maybe this LOOKSMAXXer's perspective has some merit to it. But Judy Hope points out this goes both ways, and that being good looking can be a double-edged sword psychologically, especially for women who are more prone to be distrusted on account of being attractive. Yeah, as if women don't have enough bull balance being expected to look flawless every damn moment of the day in order to be acceptable to society. On top of that, we also won't be trusted as much. Fiddly-dee! Quote, people might say, for example, that because a woman is so pretty, she must be shallow or not so smart. I mean, like, sure, you know, if you like have like good hair and wear a cute little outfit, then like you like totally like seriously must be just like totally void of any brain cells. Apparently that's what they think about women or look a certain way. Anyways, but all of that being said, the research does deviate in some interesting ways when considering whether the incels' perspective is right. For instance, Psychology Today has an article about the disadvantages from being attractive. Example, envy-related hostility. Ironically, something we see a lot in LOOKSMAXXIng. Quote, while it's true that better-looking people are more often liked by the opposite sex, the reverse is also true for others of the same sex. For instance, Good-looking students are more likely to be socially excluded or bullied by those of the same sex than their less attractive counterparts, presumably as a result of envy. A similar dynamic can be observed in workplace settings where good-looking employees face a greater level of hostility from colleagues and superiors of the same sex. Furthermore, physically attractive candidates are typically less successful in job interviews with interviewers of the same sex, and this is believed to be because they are seen as a threat. So you may make more money, you may meet more potential mates, but you're more likely to have a lot of enemies the same gender as yourself. Got it. Another downfall comes from negative first impressions. Quote, there are many undesirable traits that are automatically assumed to accompany physical attractiveness, and needless to say, these negative impressions could then detrimentally affect the interpersonal relationship development and progression. For example, good-looking people often give off the initial impression of being self-centered, entitled, incompetent, and promiscuous. Being too attractive can also make people seem unapproachable and intimidating. Interestingly, even positive trait assumptions can have undesirable consequences, such as doctors not taking symptoms seriously due to assumptions of better health in the physically attractive. Psych Today finishes off by concluding that even though there are far more positives to being good looking, the struggles of the attractive should not be ignored. Of the various points outlined above, workplace disadvantages alone would have a profound effect on life. This is because approximately 50% of our co-workers in the average workplace are expected to be those of the same sex for obvious reasons. Therefore, the advantage of being good looking may be more or less offset by the accompanying disadvantages. But I don't know, like, this is messed up from every angle in my opinion, and it just points out that like humans, society, or whatever it is, wants to tear down people no matter what. If they think you're not attractive, they're gonna tear you down for it. If they think that you're too attractive, they're gonna tear you down for it. Like, it's just, I don't know why we can't just exist. But yeah, what do I know? It's like you gotta look perfect, but not too perfect. Have surgery, but don't tell anyone you had surgery. Rate each other's looks, but don't take it personally. Make everything about appearance, but it's what's inside that counts. At this point, with the way women have been micromanaged and judged over our looks now spilling into men, I am convinced that society doesn't know what the wants, but the one thing it's committed to is making regular people feel like trash no matter what they look like. Fun! Honey, I think we need a bit of a kitty palette cleanser, and then I will conclude with my final thoughts. Be sure to grab your pieces from the brand new Petty University Valid collection by tapping the link below and in the pinned comment. I love seeing your selfies, so please do keep tagging me so that I can feature you on my Instagram stories, and I truly believe that you're gonna love these pieces from the Valid collection as much as I do. The words on the back, on the rib cage, and in the heart design are designed to remind you constantly of just how incredible, beautiful, and valid you are, no matter who you are, what you look like, who you love, what you've survived, what you have been through. I know so many of you have been through some really challenging things in life, and chronic illnesses, so many things, abuse, and y'all are incredible. That you are exactly the way that you are, and I just want you to have that reminder every day that you are valid, because it's so important. So you can grab those pieces. They'll be linked in the description and in the pinned comment as always. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Both are linked below. That's where I post most often. I also have polls. I check in on my own life, and I post a lot of opportunities to be featured in upcoming docs. Also, I have officially launched a brand new second channel called Swoop 2. It's a little more unhinged over there, and we take mini deep dives into the cesspool of all kinds of dark, bizarre, mind-bending stories, true crime, absurd influencer disasters, and mystery and spooky things. The videos are much shorter. I'll have the newest video linked below, y'all. This one was wild. We dig into the most just wild, unhinged TikTok plastic surgeon. Have you heard of Dr. Kim, who's making 70-year-olds look like this? It is a lot to take in. So I did a little mini deep dive there. I'll also have it pinned in the top comment here, so be sure to subscribe to my second channel and to take a dip with me in the cesspool. A couple of shout outs for my last full-length doc on the aftermath of Gypsy Rose Blanchard's release. If you haven't seen it, it's also linked below. It might be one of my favorite docs that I have done recently. I really wanted to approach the topic from a nuanced, very devil's advocate perspective while discussing things that are kind of often overlooked, like shocking evidence that changes some of the narrative, in my opinion, and text messages, and whether Nick Godijon should be seen as a hero if people are making Gypsy Rose their new icon, right? If she's a hero for getting out, is he a hero for helping her do that? A lot of questions. We want to look at it from all sides. First shout out goes to Sleepy Owen, who says, I super recommend this video. There's a lot of details that media doesn't cover. To Swoop and her team, thanks for the amazing video. Totally a different perspective and treating every nuanced aspect as it is. Thank you very much. I just wanted to be able to share that with my team too. And the second shout out goes to Samantha's Cozy Games, who says, I just finished watching it. I love how you were very unbiased about it, not taking one side, not telling just one side of the story and looking at all of the facts. I think honestly, Gypsy Rose needs to get out of the public eye, take a break from it all and just have the time to. And I fully agree. I don't think that being a social media influencer, public figure, icon, whatever labels people are putting on, I don't think that it's healthy to just be thrust into that so instantaneously, especially given everything that she's been through. If you want to be my next shout out, make sure you're following me on Twitter and retweet this video right here. Thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Be sure to tap the link in the description and use code PETTY55 to get 55% off at Scentbird off your first month, and treat yourself to the self-care you deserve, honey. The truth is, toxic beauty standards are the real issue, not only with LOOKSMAXXIng, but also the beauty industry in general. LOOKSMAXXIng is yet another fad set for cultural mocking, just like, duck face, the thigh gap, or the dad bod. And this Chad face phenomenon is just the latest one to come peeking its head in to upset us all. It also just so happens that it has roots in a generally dangerous community though, and that, I believe, is the biggest problem with LOOKSMAXXIng. LOOKSMAXXIng and more female-focused trends can lead to immense and intense issues with body image that provably could lead to things like EDs, self-harm, and eventual unaliving. Like I said, it's not drama. It's dangerous. But LOOKSMAXXIng has the added bonus of also potentially being a radicalization tool for young men to fall into should they find the wrong door to open. One door leads to funny memes and Giga Chad fan edits. The other door leads to people like Elliot Rodger, somebody who has his own rating thread on the LOOKSMAXX forum, by the way, where some users even allege to know the size of his Johnson. Yes, Elliot Rodger could have used some jelking in his life. That's sick. Hunger Magazine puts it best on why, ironically, LOOKSMAXXIng may lead to some necessary conversations though. Quote, to be honest, now that it's shock horror men being affected, these kinds of conversations probably will go ahead. And that will usher in an era where it's less about takes on Kylie Jenner's face at a recent fashion show and more about wrestling with the conditions that propagated a figure like herself to alter her appearance. One can only hope, right? And I don't know, maybe this will create a little bit more empathy for those who were spending time judging women and now they're feeling how that feels. Maybe more people will understand that this just isn't healthy for anyone, and no one deserves that. No one, I don't care who you are, no one deserves to be judged by your looks, your appearance. At the end of the day, looks will fade away into the other realm that society seems to curse, being old, and all I keep coming back to is why. Why can't we collectively as the human species figure out that all of this looks comparison bull does nothing more than inevitably make everyone miserable? The more you try to perfect, the more you scrutinize. The more you want people to admire your looks, the more you'll seek the approval of others before you give yourself permission to just be happy. And if all of this just leads you to aging out because you develop a wrinkle or sagging skin, then it's a losing game no matter how you LOOKSMAXX it. So why are we insisting on playing it? Let me know when you find the answer. Until then, stay ready, stay petty, class dismissed. Swoop!